talking about this type of a turn onto kind of an S-line turn onto this yellow jump, which I'm not sure you can see the yellow jump, but I hope you can. How do we make the decision? How do I make the decision? How do I help my students to make the decision on where and what side change to use on this line? So I want to get over there ideally because the course continues that direction. And so I have the choice to do, so if we're talking about this green jump, I have the choice to work the takeoff side of the obstacle, and I have the choice to work the landing side of this obstacle. And then if I was doing a rear cross, I, again, have the choice to put a rear cross on this side, or I could even travel far enough up to put it on the takeoff side of the yellow jump. So if I'm putting a rear cross on yellow, then I'm doing a rear cross on the takeoff of yellow. If I'm doing, you're so good, if I'm doing a rear cross on landing of green, this is actually called a rear cross on the flat. So you're actually changing sides right through here. Sorry, buddy, I get too close to your space. So you're changing right through here, which is a rear cross on the flat. And so allowing him to come over the jump, land, and I give him the signal that he's turning right here, and then he picks up the other jump line. So let me just show that to you. Tunnel. So doing it on landing, switch. Yes, good boy. Versus the takeoff side of green, which should actually bring him between the green and the yellow jump. He should not go out and grab that. All right, so what makes the difference between me choosing to do a takeoff side, front cross, blind cross, or rear cross, but we're going to talk about the front cross and the blind cross first, or a landing side, front cross, or blind cross. And it's a couple of things that I want to consider. The first one is, what does my dog know? And then it comes down to choosing which one is more needed by the course. And so, or by my dog, right? Because my dog, depending on the dog, it's very, very individual as to what the dog knows and what the dog needs. So when we're looking at choosing a front cross, the front cross it controls the turn better, but it's more costly to the handler. So it costs the handler time, and it costs the handler physical exertion on their knees. It may cause some disorientation, may cause some vertigo. So the physical characteristics that the front cross causes in the human can be overwhelming for the handler, but it's also more time consuming. But it controls the turn. Always keep that in mind. If you need to control the turn on your dog, then you want the front cross or an extremely well-timed blind cross. So the blind cross does not control turns as a blind cross. But if you're skilled in understanding how dogs' lines work, then you can create the needed turn help with the blind cross, if you're fast and effective and timely. So the blind cross does not control turns. However, it's faster and it's easier on the human body, usually, easier on the human body. When I'm making the decision whether or not to put the front cross or blind cross on the takeoff side or the landing side, then it comes down to the dog's skill. A dog who does not have a lot of skill with getting jumps on their own, usually you need to be on the takeoff side. It's easier for the dog, and it offers the dog more connection to create the turn and the connection to the jump that you need. So as I'm coming through the line, I can stop my dogs turning by becoming a pillar in their path, and then my dominant foot, my dog foot, can dictate the line that I want my dog to take. So as we rotate through, so I plant, and this next step dictates where my dog goes. And so telling them to go onto this jump, and then I can skirt the jump to continue on. So the front cross, the main thing that new handlers do in a takeoff side front cross is they rotate too early for the jump, or they rotate too early for the next jump. So they come through, they do their front cross, and now they are trapped by the wing to the next jump. And what happens is as their dog comes through, they look to the jump, but then the handler moves out of the way of the wing, and the dog, a young, inexperienced dog, comes with them. And that moment that it took to get clear of the wing may cost you on the next jump. So when you're doing a takeoff side front cross, make sure in your walkthrough that you plant your front cross where it's needed, that's clear of the wing, but also indicating the jump that you want, okay? And so when you're learning how to navigate where to put the front cross, navigate off the wall or the equipment behind you, where the dog is when you're doing the front cross. So as I'm coming through my front cross, I look, I want to be clear of this wing, and so I would line myself up with the end of the weed poles. As I rotate, connect with my dog, and then tell them to jump. The blind cross, as I come through, my dog is going to come out of the tunnel about now. And until I get them onto this right hand, they're going to connect with the left side of my body, and that's going to pull them out further on the run line. And also, if you look at my feet and my shoulders, even though I'm trying to connect with my dog about here, my feet are telling my dog to take this path here, right through here. And so when you do the blind, you either need a skilled dog that will come out and get the jump by themselves, or as the handler, you need to redirect your feet and your body to ask them to take the jump as you continue on. So front side is for young dogs and experienced dogs. Once they learn how to turn, they're coming in on their name call and creating a nice turn off of your tunnel. Then move your side change to the landing side for the most part. These are all general rules, but not, there's always exceptions to the rule. And so for the front cross, I would want to time it so that my dog is coming out of the tunnel now. I'm connecting with my dog with one hand, crossing over the bar. They are now lifting, landing, and continuing on. You know, within what you believe your dog's speed is. So ideally, you're able to fully rotate about here they're coming out. So this would be a nice place. I can step off their line and continue on with my side change. Again, the blind cross is not going to show them this jump. And so as you come through for the blind, your body is still going in this direction. You haven't connected with them yet, and they need to have some independent jump skills to understand the jump is in your path. Go ahead and take it. So the blind cross is for a more experienced dog, and the front cross would be for a less experienced dog, and trying to train both of them. For the rear cross, the main thing to keep in mind is that the rear cross is a turning cue. And so if I put the rear cross on this green jump, then my dog should turn off of it. So whatever line I put on the ground once my dog passes me is the line my dog will generally take on landing. So if I send my dog to the jump and I turn in this direction, my dog should take the jump. Watch out, buddy. Watch out. Good boy. My dog should take the jump and turn in that same parallel path that I did, bypassing this jump. So if I want it on that jump, then I would do a landing side, cueing that jump or cueing my switch cue, getting the rear cross on the flat here, and then creating the turn that I want. So as my dog passes me, then I put the line on the ground that I want them to take. the moment that they pass me. So they pass me and they create this same line, the same parallel path on landing. So think about dogs paralleling your path. If you show the path before the jump, they'll do it on landing. If you show the path right after they jump, then as soon as they land, they should take that path. If your dog is struggling to get the jump in any of these side changes, if they are struggling with it, then you can do several things. One of them is to go ahead and take the bar off. That gives them just a hint more time to navigate the jump stanchions without crashing. So they have to, when they're jumping, you have to think about where they're jumping and give them ideally a body length information prior. So if they lift here, they should know what they're doing by here. And so if you take the bar away, then it gives them just a little bit more time to navigate your side change and continue on. The other thing is to go ahead and put a cookie in your hand, and as soon as you do the side change, stop them right there and reward them. So those are just two things that you can try. There's other things, but that's one of them. Another one is to put their toy on the drive line and or a food target on the drive line, which would be out here and coming through the drive line for here. We always want to put, if we want to help them, we put the toys or the reward on the drive line. That's it. Happy training. We're going to see what happens if I don't cue Eli for a landing side blind on green going to yellow, which you may not be able to see yellow because it might be too close to the camera. But what we're looking at is his path from the tunnel to this green jump. So this is uncued blind cross. Jump, tiger. Landing side. Good boy. All right, now we're going to see what it looks like for a takeoff side blind cross without help, without a cue, other than the blind cross. Jump, tiger. What a good dog. All right, so just so he doesn't pattern, I'm going to run straight through this line for this wingless over here, which you also may not be able to see in camera, but I'm going to pick him up for the wingless. He may actually grab the weaves. We'll find out. Okay. Sit. Jump. Yes. All right, now I'm going to do a front cross on the takeoff side without any verbal help, without any. When I say verbal help, I'm talking about his name, a turning cue. So he has two turning cues out of the tunnel. One is his name. The other is a hand signal that means you're turning tight, which is harder for me to give, and I have to be in front of him before the tunnel in order for him to see it. Sometimes it's not easy to do. Sometimes it's just one hand. Sometimes it's the offhand. Sometimes it's both hands. To do front cross on takeoff side of green without a verbal name cue. Doing okay? Yeah? Okay. All right, jump, tiger. Good. So this time I'm going to do landing side front cross, again with no name help. You're so good. Okay. All right, I'm going to run him straight again just to make sure that he's not patterning. Jump, tiger. Now the last one I'm going to do is a rear cross through here, which is a pretty thin rear cross. And again, no name call on the tunnel. See how he turns out of there, see how he handles this rear cross. I am going to give him a switch cue through here, which is his rear cross cue. Jump. Switch. Yes. He definitely read my decel on that last one and turned nicely So I decelled I didn't accelerate off of the tire line. And so he read that before he even went into the tunnel and turned nicer off the tunnel line. Let's see what happens now if I call his name. So if I call his name, chances are I could get him to not even take this green jump. So I could pull him this direction and either bring him to this orange jump or bring him to the backside or take him that direction. So let's just see what he does, how tight he turns if I call his name. The way that I like to cue my dog's name is I do it a couple of different ways, but I've taught him that if I cue his name softly and quietly prior to the obstacle that I want the turn on, then he is given information that he's about to turn after the obstacle. And so I give a quiet cue before the obstacle, a quiet name call before the obstacle, and then I give a louder name call or more, what's the right word, punchy name call while he's either in the tunnel or directly on landing of the obstacle that I want the turn on. He does have a specific 90-degree or more turn on a jump, which is his check, but I'm just going to use his name and see how he turns with just his name. I don't use check on tunnels. Okay, so I'm doing front cross on landing of green. Okay, tire. Eli, yes, good boy. I'm gonna do a blind cross on landing of green. Tire. Eli. Yeah, it's hard to see when you're running a blind how tight he's turning, but I could hear that he came out softer. He came out not skidding as much to get this green jump. And I could prove that by seeing, does he take that wingless jump again going straight and then bringing him back into the blind and the front cross on this green jump. But I know him pretty well, and I know that he will try really hard to get these jumps for me. Even if I don't cue him, he works really, really hard to take jumps. I've taught him really well how to get committed to a jump with very minimal time. So I've taught him through grid jumps how to grab a jump from with fast feet, so very quickly pick up your toes. I've taught him all different types of angles on jumps, and I've taught him distance from jumps. So he's learned to jump very, very close up, and then he's learned to jump from very far away with a lot of speed or with collection. So I've just done a ton of jump training with him, and I've done a ton of commitment training with him. And so his willingness to go and take an obstacle that I've put in his path, even if it's not the ideal path, he will do his very best to try and get it for me. Now, there are times that he crashes a jump if I'm not correct. There are times that he just physically can't get the jump, or he will decelerate extremely low in order to accommodate the difficult angle that I put him on. But in general, unlike some new dogs, or when he was very, very new, on some of those lines, if I did not clean it up with a name call, then he would very much struggle to get it, and he would probably abandon the jump effort in the early days. In fact, I know he would abandon the jump effort in the early days because he didn't have the skills to grab a jump quickly without me presenting it correctly. So my job as a handler is to give him direction on his path between the obstacles, ideally right on the exit of an obstacle. He knows his path to the next one. And then again, on landing, I either tell him before he grabs the obstacle where he's going on landing, or immediately on landing, I tell him where he's going. So that's my job, is to give him the path in between. His job is to take the obstacle that I've put into his path. So we both have a job, and we try and work nicely together. The more off my timing is on my handling, the more skills he needs for yucky jump efforts or more difficult jump efforts, or even more difficult jump angles. So effort, angles, all of that. But my job is to connect with him, show him his path, or verbally connect. So connecting with him is either eye contact, hand signals, verbals, even my feet can help connect with him. My hand signal for sure, my eye contact for sure, and also my verbals. So with him, I really worked really hard to teach him a lot of verbals, especially his name. So his turning verbals are his name, either a soft name or a strong name. The word check check is his jump turning. For his tunnels, his hand signal turning is this. I do use that also in for jumps. So if I wanted him to turn tight, it would be hey. So he would coming at me, hey, hey, and then going back towards the tunnel. So that's a convergence, me on the landing side. So I've taught him turning signals. I have also taught him how to jump in difficult jump angles.